So after former President Obama claimed credit for our current economic boom yesterday, President Trump fired back, saying the boom is due to rolling back Obama's policies by cutting regulations and taxes. So who's right? Who cares? Think about it. The debate we're having isn't over how great things are. That ship has sailed. The media and the Dems see there's no more denying the success, so now it's about quibbling over credit. Fine. Let the Dems have it. It won't win them election, but it might reduce their tears. Divorce rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men.
Greg Gutfeld just threw a political grenade directly at Barack Obama's carefully constructed legacy, and the explosion was spectacular with razor-sharp sarcasm and zero mercy. Greg Gutfeld sliced straight through the myth of the hope and change president. 8 years of broken promises, 8 years of media worship, 8 years of elite hypocrisy, all exposed. You thought Barack Obama's legacy was untouchable. Think again. Greg Gutfeld did not just rip off the mask, he shredded it, then asked the question. Entire media was too scared to ask, what did he actually fix?
Paul, is it helping the party to tell them to return to the rhetoric that helped them lose in 2024, like the dictator kind of stuff? It doesn't work on half the country. It's not going to get any better.
I don't think they have answers. And is it me? He's looking banged up.
Yeah, he's been having
it's the first time.
Rough.
It's something I've never seen with him. He looks scared.
Barack Obama pulled off the greatest political magic trick in modern history. He made 8 years of pure disappointment look like a Netflix original with a 98% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Greg Gutfeld does not need a magic wand to cut through that illusion. All he needs is a sharp tongue, a few inconvenient facts, and the refusal to pretend that soaring speeches somehow compensate for sinking policies.
Asking you to believe, not in my ability to bring about change, but in yours. Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can.
Oh, God.
Well, it was a moving speech, and the audience response equally moving. So if the Obama presidency were a film, this speech would be the climax. All that's missing is the horse, the sunset, the rousing closing music as the title card reads the end, perhaps in cursive.
If you are enjoying this takedown, please hit that like button and subscribe us. Now let's be absolutely clear about something. This man ran the country like it was his personal LinkedIn profile, all polish, zero substance. To hear his supporters tell it, you would think he cured cancer, balanced the budget, and personally invented organic almond milk. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld is staring at the receipts with one eyebrow raised, asking, so what exactly did he accomplish besides stacking up drone strikes and celebrity selfies?
With somebody that you don't like and you try to lose them at the party. That's what Obama has done to Joe. He's lost them at the party, and now he's moving on. And then he tweets, and then you find out that he's tweeting about something else while you're at the party. And it's just, I think it's kind of mean to Joe. The second thing is that it's part of that I told you mechanism that only happens when things are good. Because do you think Obama would take any responsibility if the good times were actually bad?
Greg Gutfeld peels back the curtain with the energy of someone discovering the fine print on a completely rigged warranty. Barack Obama walked in promising hope and change, but by the time he walked out, hope had become a therapy buzzword and change meant living in a tent behind a Whole Foods. The economy crawled forward at a snail's pace while the media insisted it was sprinting. Wages stayed flat as a vegan pancake, yet somehow everyone acted like this man had personally handed out golden tickets.
President Obama took another stand against evil yesterday, lashing out at ISIS, pernicious gang crime and human rights abuses in left-wing dictatorships like Venezuela and Cuba. I was kidding. He went after Fox News again.
I think the effort to suggest that the poor are sponges, leeches,
Then came the stimulus plan, that glorious trillion-dollar economic adrenaline shot that was supposed to resurrect the country. Greg Gutfeld compares it to pouring a gallon of Gatorade on a raging forest fire and being shocked the trees kept burning. It was a trillion-dollar pity party with almost nothing to show for it, unless you count the decorative roadside signs bragging about all the recovery happening. Spoiler alert, those signs cost more than the jobs they were advertising.
An act of wonderfully skewed priorities, President Obama will appear in a reality TV show in which he gets survival tips from Bear Grylls in Alaska. Funny how far that is from the streets of Chicago, outposts in need of real survival training, much like the streets of Baltimore, Milwaukee, New York, New Orleans, where citizens are ventilated daily.
And healthcare Barack Obama so-called crown jewel, or maybe depending on how often you check your deductible, a crown of thorns. Greg Gutfeld lights that disaster up like a Christmas tree during a blackout. The rollout alone looked like it was designed by interns who had never touched a computer in their lives. Remember when Americans were told they could keep their Dr. Greg Gutfeld still searching for his probably somewhere in Canada by now. The Affordable Care Act turned out to be anything but affordable. The real tagline: congratulations, you are now confused and bankrupt. And the Nobel Peace Prize that still makes Greg Gutfeld laugh out loud. It's the political equivalent of handing someone a gold medal for showing up to a race in a shiny tracksuit. The media gave him a standing ovation while bombing a wedding party was treated like a minor scheduling inconvenience. Then there is surveillance Barack Obama campaigned on. Transparency then quietly turned the NSA into the unofficial corporate sponsor of Big Brother America edition. Greg Gutfeld calls it the greatest bait and switch since decaf coffee was invented. Privacy evaporated faster than approval ratings, but as long as Barack Obama delivered the news in that calm, measured tone, people nodded along like they were at a TED Talk.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up when she cleans it.
Let's rewind to Wall Street. Barack Obama was supposedly the champion of the working class, the little guy's president, but once he actually got into office, the only thing little about his administration was how often it said no to Wall Street's requests. Spoiler, it was never. Greg Gutfeld compares it to hiring a fox to guard the henhouse, then acting confused about all the feathers and blood. The banks walked away fat, happy, and completely immune to consequences. Main Street got a participation trophy and a foreclosure notice. Barack Obama did not even need a press secretary. He had an entire industry doing his promotional work for him. Greg Gutfeld calls it the golden age of journalistic bootlicking. Every move was historic, every mistake was strategic, every disaster was nuanced. If Barack Obama sneezed, there would be a full panel on MSNBC explaining how it was a revolutionary approach to climate science.
And maybe Obama had something to do with today's economy. I mean, without Obama, would we have Trump? Fact is, this debate says a lot about life today. The Trump economy is so great that Trump haters now want credit for it. Next thing you know, Obama will claim credit for putting kids in cages.
Education. Let's talk about education. Barack Obama's grand plan for fixing schools was to throw mountains of money into the furnace of bureaucracy and pray a phoenix would rise from the ashes of standardized testing. Greg Gutfeld calls it academic trickle-down. Dump billions into the unions, cross your fingers, and hope the kids learn to read before they turn 30. Inner-city schools, they did not get better. They got a shiny new logo and 5-year plan to absolutely nowhere. And the gun control hypocrisy. Barack Obama loved delivering passionate speeches about firearms while standing behind more armed guards than a Marvel supervillain. Greg Gutfeld's response is priceless. It is not a gun problem for him, it is a you have one problem. If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, Barack Obama would be on the podium, custom-fitted suit, regulation-sized teleprompter in hand. The man deported more people than any other president in history while somehow being celebrated as the most compassionate leader of the modern era. The cages for migrant children, he built those. He just did it with soft lighting and a gentle piano soundtrack playing in the background.
5 more words.
Fact: Obama's now a Republican.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
Then there is the national debt. Barack Obama nearly doubled it, and people still speak about him like he was some kind of fiscal genius. Greg Gutfeld's jaw hits the floor every time someone describes him as economically responsible. That is like calling a pyromaniac innovative in home heating. Sure, he inherited a mess, but then he added wallpaper, set it on fire, and blamed the smoke on the previous tenant. Post-presidency, Barack Obama did not retire, he rebranded. Now he is the nation's most overpaid Narrator Greg Gutfeld jokes that if Morgan Freeman ever needs a stand-in, Barack Obama already has the cardigan, the soft lighting, and the perfectly rehearsed smirk locked down. There is only so many glasses of wine you can sip with Silicon Valley billionaires before people start wondering whether you even remember what a real job looks like. And when Donald Trump came in and bulldozed the Barack Obama legacy like it was made of wet cardboard, you could almost hear the whimper echoing from Martha's Vineyard. Greg Gutfeld points out that Barack Obama policies had all the permanence of a dry erase board. He governed almost entirely through executive orders, then acted shocked when those same orders were erased faster than a failed TV pilot.
On Sunday, Val Jarrett went on CNN to defend her pal, President Obama. I wonder if the president prides himself on the fact that his administration hasn't had a scandal and that he hasn't done something to embarrass himself.
The president prides himself on the fact that his administration hasn't had a scandal and that he hasn't done anything to embarrass himself.
Now that's a low bar for achievement. He hasn't embarrassed himself. But it's true, no one on his staff was caught in bed with a giraffe yet. But to agree with Val, you got to ignore the IRS, the DOJ, Benghazi, Secret Service, Bo Bergdahl, and the secret server that led to the Orange Crush.
Barack Obama loved talking about unity. His actual playbook, however, was divide and distract. While the country tore itself apart over culture war battles, Barack Obama sat back like a man who just lobbed a grenade into a dinner party and stopped to compliment the curtains on his way out. Greg Gutfeld says he weaponized political correctness so completely that disagreement became a hate crime and sarcasm became an act of rebellion. Here is the thing about Barack Obama: he was not incompetent, he was calculated. Every move was choreographed, every speech was rehearsed, every reaction was delayed just long enough to appear thoughtful. Greg Gutfeld calls it theater governance, and it was a masterclass. The scandal-free presidency claim, Greg Gutfeld scoffs at it. That is like saying a magician never made a mistake just because the audience kept applauding the scandals existed. The media simply treated them like embarrassing family secrets, locked in the basement under a blanket behind a refrigerator.
Today we woke up to breaking news. Obama isn't woke at all.
This idea of purity and you're never compromised and you're always politically woke and all that stuff, you should get over that quickly. The world is messy. There are ambiguities. People who do really good stuff have flaws. Like if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or used the wrong verb, or then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, you see how woke I was?
Barack Obama did not drain the swamp. He installed a gift shop in it. Bureaucracy ballooned, government power expanded, every department got shinier logos and zero accountability. Greg Gutfeld jokes that under Barack Obama the government grew like a chia pet. Just add media praise and watch the incompetence blossom and the arrogance. Greg Gutfeld says Barack Obama could ruin a sandwich and still find a way to blame the bread, while passionately praising his own mustard application technique. By the time he left office, America was not transformed. It was confused, broke, divided, and buried under a mountain of polished rhetoric. The man promised to lift the entire country and instead spent 8 years levitating himself. Somehow the applause never stopped.
Now, technically, it's a scandal telling America you can keep your doctor, a callous deception that hurts millions. And it's a scandal of will to deny a toxic doctrine fomenting apocalyptic violence. And it's a scandal to ignore the modern Black Death, a plague currently crippling Chicago. Obama's tenure had more dirty linen than Charlie Sheen's hamper. But when your heart's in the right place, doing the wrong thing's always forgivable. And maybe scandal was just so common
Greg Gutfeld does not just roast Barack Obama for sport, he shoves a mirror directly in front of the entire spectacle and asks one simple question: are you still buying this? Behind the carefully managed branding, the Instagram perfect photo crops, and the poetic dramatic pauses, what Americans actually got was a man who knew how to sell hope like it was a premium Apple product and governed like it was a group project he outsourced to unpaid interns with no Wi-Fi. And there is still so much more to unpack: the tech censorship that flourished under Barack Obama, cultural shadow, the way he paved the road for weaponized identity politics to infiltrate every institution from kindergarten classrooms to Fortune 500 boardrooms. But do not worry, Greg Gutfeld is just getting started. Even now Barack Obama floats above the wreckage like some untouchable oracle, swooping in only when the press needs a nostalgic hit of Manufactured Grace Greg Gutfeld cannot help but laugh. This is the man who laid the groundwork for every cultural meltdown we are drowning in today, the blueprint for cancel mobs, selective outrage, moral lectures posted from beachside mansions, all stamped proudly with the presidential seal. He did not just lead, he curated vibes and the aftermath, a nation that confuses hashtags with action and virtue signaling with actual leadership. But hey, as long as the speech had rhythm and the lighting was flattering, everyone kept acting like the empire was not crumbling in slow cinematic motion. And that is the real Barack Obama legacy, not the speeches, not the book deals, not the Netflix specials. It is the gap, the massive, uncomfortable gap between what was promised and what was delivered, between the soaring rhetoric and the sinking results, between the carefully curated image and the inconvenient reality hiding just beneath it. Greg Gutfeld did not create that gap, he just refused to look away from it while everyone else was too busy applauding the curtain call to notice the stage was on fire. History will not remember the perfectly timed pauses or the designer cardigan. History remembers results, and when you strip away the branding, the celebrity endorsements, the fawning media coverage, and the teary farewell speeches, what is left is a legacy built more on mythology than on reality. Greg Gutfeld saw it, said it, and laughed while doing it, because sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do to a carefully constructed illusion is simply tell the truth.